Welcome to a new episode of the Rectified Podcast. Today, my guest is Mireille Dimitri, founder of SeedMe, a healthy snack company based in Montreal. Mireille, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Mireille, there's a lot of healthy snack companies out there. What makes SeedMe different?
So, SeedMe, just in a nutshell, SeedMe offers a snack that is versatile and is good for everybody. I was always looking for a snack that not only fit all my requirements, so gluten-free, organic, vegan, no preservatives. It's also nut-free, so
Yeah.
it meets everybody's dietary restrictions that we have nowadays.
Tell us a little bit about, how you came up with this idea. How did you develop the recipe? What were you doing before SeedMe? Like the whole story.
So I'm an accountant. I'm a CPA. It's been 17 years. I've been working in accounting and always had a true passion for food. 15 years ago, I changed the way that I ate, incorporated a lot more plant-based options and more, less refined sugars, and tried to the best of my ability anyways to remove the
Yeah.
refined sugars. Then I became a mom, and it was really important for me to relay those same values to my children. So I had to come up with a snack because they're eating every 5 minutes. They want snacks all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I had to find a snack that not only met my dietary requirement, but the ones that the schools required too. So, it was during the pandemic a couple of years ago. I'm sitting at the time I was in a rental property while my husband and I were building a new house. And I'm sitting in this rental property, and I started making energy snacks to go
Mhm.
into the lunchbox. And basically, I would take recipes and I'd swap out the nuts for a seed-based alternative. So that's it. And then when my kids, I gave it to them for them to try it, and they loved it. And I knew at this point, I knew I had something interesting.
Yeah. And it was, I believe it was very good for, other kids with allergies. There's a lot of kids who have allergies nowadays with for like nuts and stuff. Seeds are like a safer space, right?
Yes, exactly. And if, for any parents that sends their kid to school,
Mm,
the schools are really trying to make it a point to promote a healthier snack option.
yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of kids, especially in elementary school, there's a lot of allergies. It's
Mm,
growing, and so um now it's, at first it was just peanuts, but now it's all nuts.
yeah.
Walnut.
Yeah.
And then they added sesame to that list. And then a lot of people are celiac. And so it's just though this keeps growing, especially for the allergies. So having a healthy snack option in the stores that don't have nuts is actually a little bit of a challenge. You're very
Yeah.
limited with the options that you have.
Yeah. I understand that. So it was the pandemic. You started creating these recipes or recreating these recipes, swapping things for seed-based alternatives, and then your kids loved it, probably their friends, etc. At what point did you say, "Oh my God, maybe I should be an accountant and I should definitely do this"?
So it's interesting you're saying this, Sandy. I've questioned my career for the last 17 years. I always
Okay.
felt that I always felt that I was out of place. I did it. I chose 17 when I graduated from accounting at Concordia. I chose this because safe. It was
Yeah.
a safe. Um, it was a safe option.
Yeah.
Like there'll always be a need for accountants and finance people. So I picked that, but I always felt throughout my career that I was not in the right place. I was
Mm,
just going through the motions of, and then I had children, and then I just kind of, I just kept going in that direction.
yeah.
But I come from a family that come from a family of entrepreneurs and in food actually as well. So I always felt my heart belonged in that industry. And
Mhm.
so 2 years ago, when during the pandemic, you reassessed. Well, for me, that's what it was.
Mm.
There was a silver lining to the pandemic for me, and it was I reassessed my entire life and my direction and how things were going, and I felt that that my true passion resides in healthy food. And for those who know me know that I the way that I show love is through feeding people. I love to feed people. And so finding a snack that is good for everybody, good for you, at the same time it's tasty. And so I decided, 2 years ago, I'm gonna start this and we're gonna
Mm,
take it. We're gonna get on this road, this
yeah.
entrepreneurial road, whereas I did feel at home. I felt that this is where I belonged and that's it. And then never looked back.
That's amazing. I really love these stories where people like really at the end find themselves and what makes them happy. There's something that happens there. I really love it. So, creating like food stuff, there's a lot of regulations, there's a lot of challenges. Were you aware of everything that you need to know about how to make food and how to like make it more commercialized and sold, like lots of rules, food safety, etc. Like, did you get help or how did you navigate that?
So, yeah, I mean, every day I used to think to myself, if of all the things I had to do, I had to get into one of the most complex industries.
Yeah.
It's very challenging. The food industry is extremely challenging and adhering to all of the regulation, which rightfully so, necessary.
Yeah.
Everyone is eating from it. So, very important to have all these regulations. So, a lot of the times, I kind of just a lot of reading, a lot of trial and research and dealing with a lot of companies. And throughout the last 2 years, I'd say I've improved. Had I known what I know today, it would have been a lot easier back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But tons of regulations. And
Hmm.
also I have my husband's father is a food chemist.
Okay.
So,
Helps. That
so
helps.
it did help on many instances where I'd call him and be, what what should I do in this situation? What do I do?
Mm,
How do I go about it? And so he did help me in some instances as well. But a lot of research, a lot of testing product and making sure that we're aligned and we're in the right direction.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, who bought from you first? Like someone who's not a family or a friend, like a complete stranger who's like, I really need to buy this. Do you know that person?
Good question. Um, I think I think in the beginning we had a lot of family. Like the first week we launched SeedMe, we sold out in our first week. And
Wow.
I think a lot of the people that bought from us we're a lot of friends and family in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of word of mouth going forward from there. But I can't remember the first collab.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a bunch. I just
Yeah. I always like to know because it's like that one person who really said, okay, I'm going to try this out. They gave you like the opportunity to sell that piece and they don't know you. Like they're a complete stranger. So I think it's pretty interesting. Or maybe like the first retailer, you were nowhere. And then there's this store that's like, come and like, we're going to put your stuff in our stores. That's also pretty interesting. Like, the person who takes the chance to have your products in their store.
Definitely. I mean, I remember that one retailer, and that one
Mm,
retailer was Rejuice, downtown. We're almost downtown,
mm,
and
yeah,
and and they gave us the opportunity at the time. Her name was Joanna. She passed away, but she, open heartedly gave us the chance and welcomed the new product, and she loved the product, and she truly believed in us
mm,
and the product, and so she, such a great person, and she gave us the opportunity and
yeah,
really allowed us to start our
yeah,
retail journey because,
mhm,
selling directly to a customer or
yeah,
selling directly to retail, those are like two different ballgames. And she allowed us to start our journey on that end. So I'm
yeah,
forever grateful to her.
mhm. So today you're available in stores and online. So you're not just direct to consumer, you also are available in stores or like supermarkets, right?
Yes, exactly. We're in
Mm,
about 100 and some locations in Montreal, also in Ontario. Recently
mhm.
started in Ontario.
All right. And what do you do in terms of marketing? Like, how do you spread the word about SeedMe?
So in the beginning, during the pandemic, we did a lot of influencer marketing, which was
Hmm.
great. We
Yeah.
definitely found some accounts and some people that we shared the same values. And so, uh, you know, finding people that truly loved our product and understood or not understood, but just believed in that lifestyle of eating, whole food,
Yeah.
plant-based. And so we started with influencer marketing. That worked really, really awesome.
Mhm. And nowadays, what do you do? Are you available? Like, are you present on social media? Do you do anything there?
Yeah, so I mean, not as much as during the pandemic. I do
Mhm.
feel that there was a shift in the last couple of years with
Yeah.
influencer marketing. We also do a lot of email marketing. I think that's really
Yeah.
effective. Another thing that's super effective is being in market. And I love
Yeah.
being in markets. I talk to
Mm.
people, I meet my clients. And so a lot of moving from direct, we still sell from our website directly to the consumer.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is retail now. And I don't have that closeness anymore that I used to with my
Mm.
clients. And so
Mm.
going into all these big markets has allowed
Yeah.
to market the product in a different way
Yeah.
and speak to my client.
Yeah. I actually saw that you were participating in one of the fall markets. I really
Yeah.
wanted to go, but I couldn't. I had something that day. But I'm sure you're gonna be on the Christmas one. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
it's
I
definitely
have
good.
to mark it in my calendar.
We're
All
actually
right.
going to be at two other big ones in Montreal, the Expo Manger Santé and
Yeah.
the women's show, the National Women's Show as well.
Yeah, that's a nice one too. All right. I'll try to be in some of those, not all of them, but I'll try to see which one I can go to because I like to discover also a lot of, local small businesses. So, Mireille, you were on TV. I saw some clips from Global News. You talked about SeedMe. Like, how did that feel like you going on television and talking? I know like we talk here, you're on podcasts and stuff like that, but it's different. You're in the comfort of your home facing a screen, but it's completely different when you're on TV. Like, how did that go? How did you feel?
Yeah, I mean it's it's a bit nerve-wracking in the beginning. And only because I just didn't know what to expect. So you don't know, you go to
Yeah.
the facility and then they're recording, they're telling you specific guidelines. And so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but at the same time I'm really just talking about as soon as that camera goes off and then you start talking, and it's natural to me. This is my true passion. So when I'm talking about the
Mm,
product, I'm not trying to sell the product. I'm just talking about, you know,
yeah.
um, the product and how I think that it's awesome. And so it's a little different. Just that
Yeah.
little first minute, whereas okay, they're recording 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, and then it just becomes a conversation with the
Yeah.
person. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I also noticed that you include your kids in almost everything. I'm sure whenever you can, not when they're in school, but I see that they help you pack stuff. They go with you to, I don't know if they go to the events with you. Like, how did you decide that you want to include them? And how do they feel about this? Are they excited? Do they love doing these things?
So my kids, first of all, when the clip of my kids on Global News, they were just
Yeah.
happy that they were on TV. For them, they're like, "Yeah, I'm on TV. I'm famous." So that was really funny.
Yeah.
I include them for many reasons. Primarily because often I have to leave the house and do something,
Mhm.
fill orders, or I have to go organize things, and if the timing is right and they don't have school the next day and it works, I'll
Yeah.
include them just so that I can hang out with them, because
Yeah.
they're home and then I'm over there, and then I have that mom guilt that just she's always looming on
Yeah.
top of my head. And so I try to include them. Another thing is, like, there's this, like, entrepreneurship is beautiful. It's a lot of work, and
Yeah.
it could be awesome, but it takes a lot of time and effort. And
Mm.
I want them to see what it's like. Entrepreneurship is not all roses. It,
No,
it,
definitely.
you speak to a lot of entrepreneurs
Yeah.
as well. And so
Yeah.
having them come with me to try to understand, hey, there's many facets of SeedMe. It's not just the tasty snack that they have in their lunchbox.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes on, and having them come for like little small tasks gets them involved. And now,
Yeah.
they come home and they say, I want to work for SeedMe. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. I remember when I was a kid, I used to go sometimes to my dad's office and I used to like sit behind his desk and there was no computers. It was like calculators and stuff like that. So I used to like always play around and pretend to be like the boss and things like that. But these are memories that stay in you forever. So I really love stories where, parents, regardless if it's the mom or the dad, involve their kids in it. They understand what's going on, and just like you said, like they want to work at me. So that's pretty interesting.
I was asking my son the other day what he wanted to do. And this was unrelated. We weren't at SeedMe kitchen or anything. I was just asking
Yeah,
him what they wanted to do when they were older. And my middle son told me, I want to be the boss at SeedMe. I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
that's good. You have a successor
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
far future. In the far future. All right, Mirai, what are your plans for SeedMe? Like, where do you see this going, or what do you aspire, to have for SeedMe?
So, my aspirations for SeedMe is really, I've always been passionate about feeding people, so if SeedMe can end up in all the stores and all the school lunch boxes, a healthier option for the masses.
Yeah,
And like this is something that makes me happy to see. Well, like there's a better snack alternative and that people enjoy. So definitely as much as like not
yeah,
just geographically, but also in different locations, not just stores, but also in schools and
yeah.
definitely something that I'd love to see.
Mm. So you mentioned schools. You Part of your mission is, like you said, to feed people, but also to like give back to the community and help out schools. Like, how important is that for you, and why do you have it included in like the Seed Me's mission?
Well, I mean, I did feel like it's the perfect angle to go with a school angle because this whole
Mm-hmm.
story started because of my kids and I needed a snack for their schools. And so whenever there is an opportunity to there's a fundraiser and there's an opportunity for kids to raise funds for many reasons,
Yeah.
one particularly that really spoke to me is my kids play a lot of sports and a lot of hockey and soccer. And one of
Mm.
the schools was raising funds for um, children that didn't necessarily have the means uh, to play those sports. And that was
Mm-hmm.
something that really, hit
Yeah.
close to home because I see my kids in their sports and how much they love it. And so this fundraiser was really a way to help those children play the sport that they truly love. And so as much as possible, when there's anything that is related, school related, our snacks are versatile, so it's
Yeah.
really not an it's a great angle to go in, and so super important, and we always love to be part of those.
Mm-hmm. I love this. Let's talk business. We talked family. Let's talk business a little bit. Um, how did you like get started in the business? Did you fund it yourself? Did you like bootstrap the company? Like how did you start this whole thing and on the financial side?
So this was completely bootstrapped.
Okay.
I did start the business as a side job. I still kept my job in the beginning, and and every dollar that was made in the business was reinvested.
Yeah.
Everything was bootstrapped from packaging to, obviously all the operations, the packaging, the growth so far has
Mm-hmm.
been 100% bootstrapped.
All right. And what
Challenging,
about
yes.
yeah, yeah, it's not easy, not easy. What about the future? Are you thinking about, like getting some funds, angel investors, VCs? I don't know. There's so many options nowadays. Are you even thinking about going there, or do you want to keep it, yours and then work on it?
I mean, there's so many options, like you said. I think that in the next phase of SeedMe, there's definitely, like different funding requirements at this
Mm-hmm.
point. Um, Still, there's so many options that are on the table, and uh, you know, it's definitely something that I want to consider in the next few months for sure.
Yeah. You're
just
thinking
to
about
allow
it.
growth. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. All right. I know it's not an easy decision to make because it's different when you take a loan yourself or if you have a VC who's there, that they take some control, they take parts of your baby, let's say, which is your fourth baby, which
Yeah,
is your
exactly.
company. So it becomes like a whole thing to consider and to discuss. So I really understand that. So Mireille, we're towards the end of this episode, and I usually ask my guests a series of 3 questions. Are you ready for them?
Alrighty.
All right. So how would your friends describe what you do for a living?
I make snacks. I make people happy through snacks.
All right, that's a nice definition. What is one thing that your snacks, in this case, did for a client that you didn't expect?
Um, I have one particular client that her son is allergic to everything.
Mm.
And when I met this particular client at a market and she told me, you've changed his life because I
Oh,
don't have to look for snacks anymore that he loves. This is something that I know he's gonna love and he's gonna eat and he's safe eating it. So for that,
mm.
definitely it's something
Yeah,
that
that's
warms my
amazing.
heart.
Yeah, I know. It's very challenging and there's a lot of temptation. Like, there's a lot of food around these kids and they want to eat them and they can't and they get sick. So that's pretty amazing. Question number 3, is there a book that changed your life that you would recommend to the audience?
That's a good question. Sandy, that's a great question. Or
that,
I can't even I don't being a mom, I don't think I remember the last book that I've read
that you read.
without falling asleep. But I've listened to many interesting podcasts about,
Hmm.
food businesses.
So Mirai, tell us where we can find you online. What's your website and the stores, how they can find you and where?
Awesome. So on our website, we ship cross country directly. You can buy directly from our site and we'll deliver straight to your door. We also have on our website a store locator. So that
Yeah.
with all of the list of all of the stores that are closest to you, you can just
Hmm.
enter your postal code and all of the stores would.
Yeah. So only Quebec and Ontario in stores, and
Yeah,
then the rest of Canada, they can buy it online.
exactly.
You're not in the US, it's just Canada wide.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes, just
Okay.
Canada.
All right. Perfect. So we're going to share that too in the description of this podcast. Thank you, Mireille, for being a guest. And I'll be back next week with a new episode.